The key is time is precious. Now, let me give you Bill Bailey's description of time. Life is not just the passing of time, life is a collection of experiences, their frequency, and their intensity. Life is not just watching the clock tick away. Life is a collection of experiences, their intensity, their frequency. Whatever the span of your life turns out to be, here's what you want to fill it up with: experiences and the intensity of those experiences. Now, let's talk about the management of time. When should you start the day? As soon as you have it finished. Plan it day the best you can, leaving plenty of room for improvising and surprises and all this stuff that happens during the course of the day. But if you plan a good productive day, now you start that day, you can't believe how more valuable your time will be. Don't start the day until you have it finished. Now, don't start the week until you have it finished. Now, to lay out a week is a pretty good challenge. Next, don't start the month until you have it finished. The places to go, the people to see, the sales, the customers, all the activities that you want to accomplish during the course of 30 days. Don't start the month until it's finished. And then here's the big one. This is the really challenging. Don't start the year until you have it finished. To the best of your ability. It can't be finished like minute by minute, but in terms of what you want to accomplish, make sure that's set and ready to go by the time January 1st comes around. Now jot this down. Approaches to the management of time. Ignore the subject. Now that's good advice. Don't let anything overly bug you. Because remember now, you don't have to do anything. If you want to let it all go, you can let it all go. This is good advice. Somebody says you ought to ought. Ignore all the you ought or the you should. Only if they're giving you general information. It's better to say we should. If you're teaching we should, not you should. We should. Then you let me listen in without it being too conversational. If everyone did this, then that would be great. Then you give another person a chance to do it or not to do it. But when you start, you ought, no, if I don't know, we got some tension and maybe some problems. So you ought always seem to create problems. In one of my seminars here, what I teach, all life forms strive to the max of their potential except human beings. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. You never hear a tree growing half as high as it could. No, trees grow. A tree goes as high as it can, produces as every leaf as it can, every fruit as it can, to the max. Every life form strive to the max except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Now, jot this down. You have been given the dignity of choice. You're not a robot. You don't have to repeat this year the same as last year. You can tear up last year's plan and start with a new plan. Now, the dignity of being a human being. Now, here's a choice of being a human being. To be part of all we were meant to be, or to be all, to strive for all, or half, or some. The choice is up to you. To develop one skill or 10 skill. Well, somebody said I'll be happy with one more language. Well, somebody else said I'm going to learn 6 or 7. And this is all a matter of choice. And somebody said, no, you ought to learn 4. You got to resist all that because this is personal dignity. And you don't want to destroy someone's dignity by doing all the arts and now you feel reluctant to do it. Now you got problems. So if you want to just ignore the subject of time management, now here's the next one. Step down to something easier. The guy in sales now says, I want to own a company. Finally own a company. Now he has no time to play golf. Well, he said, when I was in sales, I was making big money playing golf 3 days a week. Heck with this owning something. Oak within management. My life was never my own once I started management. I'm going back to sales. Now, this is the key. If you're getting too pressed, you might want to consider stepping down to something a little more easier, time pressures. Next key to time management. Now, that's working longer and harder. Now, there's a limit to that. I almost lost my health the first year. The first year I went so crazy about personal development and achievement, I just went bonkers. Now, I told you I was skinny. By the end of that first year, I was a walking shadow. And then it suddenly occurred to me, what if I got rich and too ill to spend it? I mean, that was a shocker. So I started develop, little more reason. Because if I say, if 12 hours won't do it, then I work 40. And if that won't work, then I work 18. I mean, how many hours it takes? And sure enough, it cost me too much. Then you say working longer and harder for some, it might be appropriate. If you're just sitting around not doing much, it might be good working longer and harder. But you can only work so hard. Here's the key, not to work harder, but smarter. When you work as much as you can, physical output and the time, reasonable time. Now, here's the ultimate management of time, and that is usually become more skillful. When I first got into sales, I was around people who could get 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. And when I first started, I could only get 1 out of 10. But here, what I did, I worked around the clock. So I would make up what in numbers, what I lack in skill. That's good in sales. You got to jot that down. When you're new, you got to make up in number what you lack in skill. Now you become more skillful. The numbers can go down because you're now more persuasive ability and all that is now so high that you don't need to put as many numbers out. But at first, if you want to compete or if you really want to get good, you got to put in the numbers. But if you get more from yourself, develop more of yourself, now the time management becomes an easier task. Now here's the next thing. Either you run the project or it runs you. I found out when you start something, first you're in charge. All of a sudden, it's in charge. Some of the companies I started, I tell you, I'm in control. A couple of years later, I'm out of control. At first, I got it on the run. 2 years later, it's got me on the run. I haven't got enough time. I'm busy trying to get it all done. So here's part of the key, and that's to get in charge. So I'm gonna take charge of my health, take charge of your time, take charge of your resources, which I'm gonna talk next. You're the one that's responsible for it. It's not a requirement of starting that you not have an heart attack and take care of your family. That's not a requirement of society, but you must make it a requirement of yourself. Society doesn't require that you build a financial wall around your family. Nothing can get through. That's not a requirement of society. It's a requirement you impose on yourself. To build a financial wall around your family, nothing can get through. So impose on yourself the self-development of being in charge. Taking charge of your life and your health and your future and your responsibility and all of that. Next, Reasonable time is enough time to achieve all your goals. Just shut that down. Here's why. It's not the hours that you put in, it's what you put in the hours. If you start depositing greater ideas into the hours you got later than now, I'm telling you, later you can't believe the productivity will flow. The ideas you can't think of now, a year from now, they'll start to flow. And when you deposit those ideas in the hours you got, productivity multiply by 2, 3, 5 next time. Next time management essential. We already covered the first one, a written set of goals. And then do priorities on your goal. What's important this week? What's important this month? Here's the next one. Often review. Just go over your goals to make sure that your list is working for you. It's got you inspired. It's got you turned on. Someone says, "How come you're up so early?" Well, I say, if you were heading where I'm heading, you'd be up early too. If you were gonna meet who I'm gonna meet, you'd be up early. If it was going to stack up for you like it's stacking up for me, you'll get up early. Here's some time management essential. Learn to study what we call majors and minors. You pick up the phone. Hear what you must say when you pick up the phone. Is this a major conversation or a minor conversation? If it's a minor, a few pleasantries and you're done. If it's major, then maybe you got to make a few notes. So here's the next one. Important conversations, make an agenda before you make the call. Just jot down a little agenda. It's so easy now to just talk out of your head. Let's see. I can't think of it right now. I'll call you back. See, look a little incompetent. Let's see. There was something. It escaped me right now. Really? So you got this now? Make an agenda before you make a call, if it's an important call. Now later that saves you all kinds of stuff. So what's major, what's minor? Now here's the key on this. Don't major in minor things. If you take up major time to do minor things, I tell you, you'll be behind the curve constantly. Here's what we've learned in salesman. What's major time and what's minor time? If you're in sales and you take a look at the week, you say, my gosh, I'm spending 90% of my time on the minor stuff and so little time on the major stuff in the presence of. How many presence of in my day? How many hours in the presence of during my sales a week? Because the time that really counts is in the presence of majors and minors. Here's another key, time management essential. Don't mistake movement for achievement. It's easy to get fake out by being busy. A guy comes home all night and say, "Oh, I'm exhausted. I've been going and going and going." Here's the big question: doing what? It's not the go and go and go. So people are going and going and then doing friggin' great. Progress is small. So don't mistake movement for achievement. Now here's the big one, concentration. I had to learn this. All these years, I'm in the shower trying to compose a letter. So here's what I learned what to do. Save the work until you get to the office. Save the work until you get to work. On the way to work, enjoy the way. And then the shower, enjoy the shower. Then go to work when you go to work. Here's another one. Learn to say no. It's in such a social society, it's easily trying to say yes to everything and no to, and try to get yourself overloaded. No, you got to call, make all the time. You got to back out of something that you should have said yes to quickly. little things you can use not to overcommit yourself. Don't let your mouth overload your back to goodwill. Now, here's a big one on time management. When you work, work. When you play, play. Don't mix the two. Don't work at play. I used to take my family to the beach and I used to bring my briefcase. I learned not to do that. Or at the beach, I should be at the office. Now my family's out there upset. No, because I'm at the beach and I'm thinking, office. No, I'm at the office. I'm thinking, gotta get my family to the beach. So things are not going well at the office because I'm thinking about the beach, and at beach, I'm thinking about the office. When you work, work. When you play, play. Don't mix the two. Don't work at play. Don't play at work. Work is too serious. But I'm telling you, got to be serious about work because you're parting with a piece of your life for the work you do. Here's what it's called. Serious business. Not grim, but serious. All work is good. You may not like your job, but if it's a stepping stone to get in where you want to go, you got to appreciate your job. You don't have to have a passion for your job. Here's the ultimate job. The passion for incredible success in every department of my life. That's a path. That's a passion. Don't look down on some menial job you have to do to finally get to where you want to go. No job is menial. No job is not. Every job is noble. Training life for pay. Making a contribution to society. Analyze how you are, and if you have some weaknesses, if you can't, doesn't seem like you can change, get it covered. I used to keep promising myself, I used to keep the books. Finally, I gave that up, and back then it only took me an extra 50 or 60 extra bucks a month for for an accountant to keep the books. So now I'm gonna say, you can't believe what I lost in productivity because I tried to save the 50 bucks. So a lot of times you can say like you are, but just make sure you get it covered. Next, beware of the telephone and all other systems of communication, especially the telephone at home and systems of communications at home. Here's one of the best lines I got for you for the weekend. Let all communication systems serve you, but don't let them intrude. Here's the next one. Read all the books. You know, I got only a few notes here on time management. But if you got some particular challenges because you run a big organization, a big corporation, you got some challenging, there's plenty of books. Now, here's what's next. Just be alert to the things that might be stealing your time. Here's why. Time is like capital. You can't let someone steal your seed coin. You can't let someone steal your capital. You can't let someone steal your time. You must designate your time, and some of the time that you designate, you must not let anyone steal. Casual time, you might let someone intrude a little bit and take a little bit, but not serious time. Next, one of the great time management servers to learn to ask questions up front. Sometimes you talk to someone for an hour, then you ask questions and ask. If you ask those questions up front, you would have saved an hour. Or asking questions up front help you get to the problem now. But if you just launch into some discounts, you might waste 30 minutes, you might waste an hour. And here's what you should be talking about. After you finish an hour, you said, John, I see that what you should be talking about the soul horde. No, here's the last one, thinking on paper. And that's like keeping a journal. One of the things I'm known for is keeping a journal. Now, my journal is not necessarily it's not like a diary. It might be part diary. You know, I'm flying over Ireland. Write down a few little things that impress me. Today I met this person. What an extraordinary event. Today I conducted my seminar in Rome. 1,000 people stood up. I got a little bit of a diary in there, but here what's primarily my journal is for collecting good ideas. A journal is to collect good ideas on your health, for your business, for your future, for your future time management. I used to take notes on pieces of paper and I threw all those stuff in the drawer. It did not serve me well. I finally learned to get a bound copy and keep a journal. If I was here, I had my journal, I'll be taking notes. Now, if you're called without journal, just take the notes when you get back home. Put those notes in your journal. Throw the paper away. Because we don't usually go through paper to review. Now my journals make up a significant part of my library. Here's what's next. Here's what's next. The books that change your life, the books that change your health, the books that rescue you from oblivion, the books that you pass on to other people. They were so exciting for you. The books that made you financially independent, the books that develop your leadership, the books that gave you wisdom to ponder when things were tough, the books that got you through the winter, the books that helped you to plant in the spring and harvest in the fall. What a treasure to leave behind. If you do that, here's what's for sure. Your books will be more valuable than your furniture. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Don't be selfish. Hope you learned something. Feel free to leave a comment. Thanks again.